Hello everyone, welcome to Go VM Lab VMware Cloud on AWS Deep Dive Training Program. In this particular lecture, we are going to discuss about prerequisites of deploying VMware Cloud on AWS SDDC. So before we go and deploy our SDDC on VMware Cloud on AWS, we need to do certain AWS specific configuration, and that's what we are going to learn about in this particular lecture. So let's get started. Now, if you look at this high level architecture of VMware Cloud on AWS, the first entity, what we have it is region. So if you're aware about AWS constructs, the first and very important thing, we need to decide that in which particular region or AWS region we are going to deploy our VMware Cloud on AWS SDDC. So that's the first thing we need to make sure of. The second thing, if you see that in this particular diagram, this is our VMware Cloud on AWS SDDC. But before we go ahead and deploy our SDDC, if you do see that we need to create a VPC. That's the first AWS construct which actually gives us an isolated virtual networking environment on AWS cloud for running our workloads, and that's exactly we need to go and define it. So before deploying our SDDC, we need to define the region. What region are we going to use it? Anyway, that region can be defined during the deployment of SDDC, but very important thing, what we need to do is creating a VPC, and another thing which is really important for us to create a subnet, because as soon as we define a VPC, we also define the subnet on AWS as a AWS construct. So that basically our software defined data center or our VMware Cloud on AWS SDDC is going to be deployed on that specific subnet. So these two pre-configurations, we have to do it before we go and deploy our VMware Cloud on AWS SDDC. So let me walk you through VMware hands-on lab, which really help us out to understand AWS constructs such as VPC creation and AWS subnet creation before deploying our VMware Cloud on AWS SDDC. So let's get started. Now click on AWS icon, and here we have to provide username and password to authorize or authenticate our identity. So give a username what VMware has given us as a part of hands-on lab, john.taylor@vmware.com. Give a password of this particular user and click on sign in. Now as you could see that as soon as we provide a right username and password, we are logged into our AWS console. Now in the search services, just type VPC, and we do see that right there we have a VPC option. Now that's a VPC dashboard. Click on VPC, and because we need to create a VPC because we would like to deploy our SDDC on a dedicated VPC which is being managed by VMware Cloud on AWS service. So click on create VPC. Now the first thing we need to provide is basically the name, what name we would like to provide to our VPC. So give a name as vslab-vpc. What CIDR we would like to give it for all those AWS constructs such as EC2 instances or maybe other applications which would be getting deployed on that particular VPC or in that particular VPC. So that's a CIDR block, we need to define it. So we give a CIDR block information as 172.20.0.0/16. So that's the CIDR block, we have defined it for our entire VPC. Are we using IPv6? So as of now, we are not using any IPv6 CIDR blocks, so that's okay. And let's go with the default tenancy option as well. Click on create, and you do see that our VPC got created successfully. It's pretty straightforward. We just need to provide the CIDR information as a part of that VPC creation. Click on close, and as you do see that our VPC with the name VSLab VPC got created successfully. That's the ID of the VPC. The state is available, which means that our VPC is in healthy state, and that's a CIDR block what we have defined it. So you could see that that's a CIDR block 172.20.0.0/16 is the CIDR block, and that's the main route table. Now let's go and create a subnet. So first thing, create a VPC, and now basically we need to define the subnets out of that VPC CIDR block. So click on subnet, click on create subnet, and again we need to provide the name or tag for that particular subnet for the identification. So let's give a name as 172.21.0 US West 2A. So that's the name what we have given it to our first subnet what we are creating under that VPC CIDR. So you have to make sure that whatever the CIDR we have given VPC CIDR, our subnet should be part of that particular CIDR. We can't have a subnet is belonging from one CIDR and VPC is part of some other CIDR. If you're very well aware of the AWS VPC and subnet creation. So that's the subnet what we have defined it 1.0 and US West 2A. After that, we need to select the VPC. So that's our VPC what we had created in the previous step. And as you do see that it clearly a very crisp information is being provided here. That's a CIDR of our VPC and that's our subnet within that VPC. Now we need to define that availability zone. So if you're aware about the subnets, we also need to define which availability zone we're gonna choose it. So that's the US West 2A is the availability zone which we're gonna use it for this particular subnet. And that's the IPv4 CIDR block, as you could see that 1.0/24. So these two steps are really important for us. The availability zone, in which availability zone this subnet belongs to, and whenever we go and deploy the workloads or SDDC, we're going to define that which subnets I'm going to use it for my SDDC deployment. And that's the CIDR information 172.21.0/24. Now click on create. And as you do see that our subnet got created successfully. Click on close. Now let's go and create another subnet. So we never ever go and create a single subnet because that's a single point of failure. So to make our environment, our SDDC more resilient, we actually go and create multiple subnets in a different availability zones. So let's go and create second subnet, give a name. So again, let's give a name as 172.22.0 because that's a CIDR block. I'm going to use it for my another subnet, and that is going to be US West 2B. So that's a naming convention. It's very elaborative and very crisp information. You do see that it gives us a pretty good information about that subnet. Then let's go and select the VPC. So that's the same VPC we're gonna use it. Then we need to select the availability zone. And if you remember, for the first subnet, we selected availability zone as US West 2A. For this particular subnet, we're gonna use different availability zone, which is 2B. And let's go and define the CIDR block information for our second subnet. That is going to be 172.22.0/24. So let me give you the recap of the step. So that's our VPC CIDR, overall VPC CIDR. Within that VPC, we have carved out this particular subnet, and that subnet would be part of our US West 2B availability zone. Now click on create, and as you do see that our subnet got created successfully. Now click on close. Now let's go and create our last subnet. So click on create subnet. Again, follow those steps 172.23.0. That's the CIDR block we are going to use it. And that's the notation of our availability zone. Select the VPC. And now again, let's select the availability zone. And this time we are going to select a different availability zone. So that is 2C. And let's provide the subnet for that particular availability zone. That is 172.23.0/24. So that's our availability zone 2C, and 3.0 is the CIDR block for our VPC. So click on create, and as you do see that our third subnet also got created successfully. Now click on close, and as you could see that we have successfully created all these three subnets, and that's a CIDR block for each of our subnets, and the state is also available. So we are pretty good from the configuration perspective. Now, what is the next thing we're gonna do it? We're actually gonna go and deploy internet gateways. If you're aware about the AWS networking constructs, we need to go and attach our subnet to the internet gateways when we would like our traffic to be routed to the internet, right? So that's where we're gonna create an internet gateways, which actually gives us public connectivity. So click on internet gateways, click on create internet gateways, and let's again give us some name and tag to this particular internet gateway, which works as a router and connects our VPC to the internet. So give a name as VS Lab IGW. That's the name of our IGW gateway. Click on create, And as you do see that our internet gateway also got created successfully. Click on close. Now, one of the thing to notice here that our VS Lab IGW, which is our internet gateway, it got created successfully, but look at that state. It is not in the available state. It is in detached state, which means that we have just created IGW, but now to provide our VPC to the internet connectivity, we need to attach our VPC to the IGW. And for that, click on that action button and click on attach to VPC. Now, once we click on attach to VPC, it asks us what VPC you want to attach this IGW to, and that is what the VPC we created in the previous tab. Click on the attach. As you could see that we have successfully connected our IGW to the VPC to provide internet connectivity. Now, the next thing what we're gonna do is actually we are going to create endpoints. So click on create endpoint, and as you know that endpoint is actually allows us to securely connect our VPC to the other AWS services. For example, you have a EC2 instance which is running in your AWS VPC, and that EC2 instance want to leverage AWS S3 services. Without this endpoint, all the traffic would be traversing all the way over the internet, and just to avoid that traffic going over the internet, we can make use of this endpoint, which actually gives us a very high bandwidth, low latency, and a very secure connectivity between AWS workloads or workloads which are running inside that VPC and the AWS services. And that's what AWS endpoints are all about. So what we're gonna do, we actually gonna create endpoint S3. So that is the endpoint we are going to create for our SDDC connectivity. So as you could see that that's the endpoint, we have defined it. Click here to scroll down. Now select the VPC. So that's again the same VPC what we have created. And as soon as we create that VPC, the route table association. So this is very important because here what we are doing that we are actually doing that route table association, or we are updating the route table saying that if anyone who is trying to reach out to that S3 bucket or that S3 service, it will go over this endpoint. It will not go over the internet. So that's what we are actually doing, this subnet association with the selected route table to give a endpoint connectivity, or our subnets or the workloads running inside our subnet can have accessibility to this endpoint. So that's what this particular step is all about, where we are trying to do this association with our endpoint. Now click here to scroll down and click on create endpoint. Now as you could see that our VPC endpoint is successfully created. Click on close and look at that. This is our VPC. This is our VPC endpoint. This is the VPC ID. That's the service name of that endpoint, and the status is available, which means that our endpoint is successfully created. Now, the one thing which we need to do is the route table update. So if you look at that, what we have to do, this is our route table. So if you do see that, this is our main route table, right? So if you look at that, this is our main route table for our VPC, and we need to do the subnet associations. So you click on subnet associations, click on edit subnet, and now what we are doing in this particular step, we are actually associating all those three subnet what we created in the early step. We are actually connecting these three subnets to that particular in updating in a route table for the required network connectivity. So click on the all these three subnets and click on save. And as you do see that our subnet got associated with that route, got attached with that main route table. And now if you look at this table, you do see that what this table is telling us, anyone who is trying to reach out to our VPC CIDR, any workload which is trying to reach out to our VPC CIDR, the traffic will be routing locally. So you do see that the traffic would be routing locally. So any workloads running in any of the subnet, the traffic can be routed locally within AWS infrastructure. And another interesting thing is, if you do see that S3 services, so if any of our workloads from that particular VPC is trying to reach out or trying to get access to S3 service endpoint, the traffic has to forward it to this particular target, which is a VPC endpoint. And if you remember, that's the endpoint we created. So that's the VPC endpoint, what we are doing it. And the last, other than that, if traffic is not being routed between the AWS subnets or the workloads or not even to the S3 endpoint, the rest of the traffic is a default traffic and which should be pointed out. So just go and select a default subnet and all that default traffic should go to the IGW. So as you could see that any traffic other than these two destinations would be the default would be going to the IGW. Click here, click on save routes, and as you do see that the route table has been successfully updated, click on the close. And now if you look at the route associations or the route table, you do see that all the routes are successfully updated in the route table. Click on the VPC. We have successfully configured all the AWS prerequisites for deploying our VMware Cloud on AWS SDDC, where we have learned about how do we go and create a VPC, how do we go and create a subnets, how do we go and create a IGW, attach that IGW to the VPC, and then we also learned about how do we go and create S3 endpoint to provide a very high bandwidth, low latency, secure connectivity between our VPC workloads or workloads running inside our VPC to the AWS S3 endpoint. In the next lecture, we are going to learn about how do we go and deploy our first VMware Cloud on AWS SDDC. So stay tuned. We hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thanks for your time. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.